Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the OathCast NewsCast. I, of course, am your host, Oath Alliance. And yesterday, California showed once again why it is aptly nicknamed the Nanny State. It actually took this name from, well, actually, it's been an ongoing battle between New York and, of course, California. However, yesterday they took the cake when Governor Jerry Brown, who you see in the screen there, signed into law SB 967. What is SB 967, you may ask? Well, let me tell you. The entire point of the law is pretty simple. It's going to supposedly help cut down on, well, rapes in colleges. Yeah, anyways, how's it going to do that? Well, I'm not sure how they think it's going to do that, but let me tell you what I've got here. It's known as the Affirmative Consent Bill. Now, y'all know a while ago they were saying no means no was the campaign that's going on. Well, now, according to this law, yes means yes. And if you thought that was a little odd, let me explain to you in a bit further detail. This law pretty much states that first, both parties must be in clear mind and clearly consent to having sex. That means you can't wiggle your eyebrows at one another and go at it. You have to verbally say, yes, let's have sex. Or I assume they'll take other forms of that? I'm not sure. That may be the only thing they accept. They don't really say. However, that both have to be voluntary and that each person involved has to be of clear mind. So you can't be both be drunk and doing it. I'm not sure who they'll arrest at that case, but you know, whoever makes the allegations, I suppose. But since we all know men can't be raped, oh well, then the woman always wins that battle. Anyways, but so what's required is that you have to both say yes, and that they don't care about whether you were previously in a relationship, sexual or dating. Um, so that kind of makes sense, I suppose. Well, just because most rapes occur, um, someone you know. So if you were previously dating an ex and they wanted to have sex again, I can sort of see that. However, it goes on a bit further. There's a bunch of different things. So the complainant has to be awake and clear. Complainant can't be under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or medication, so that they couldn't understand the fact or nature or extent of sexual activity. What it says here, but I mean, what both people were drunk? I mean, let's face it, it's not an uncommon thing. They're at a frat house or something, drinking from that beer keg, and then they get a little squirrely, go up to the room, and next day they wake up and realize they don't have their clothes on. So, in that case, if she says he raped me and he says we were both drunk, who's in trouble then? Yeah, not sure how this is going to work. So that also this shifts the burden of proof. This is the real big problem I've got. Shifts the burden of proof towards over. Um, it shifts it over at least to the person who's been accused. So no longer are you going to, be innocent until proven guilty. Now you're guilty until until you can prove your innocence. Because let's face it, if you can't prove your innocence, you're screwed, and no public defender is going to save you, probably. Or at least your life. I mean, if they do exonerate you, then maybe. But let's face it, there are no times ever that any woman has made rape allegations that were false. It just doesn't happen. Not at all. Yeah, that was a blatant lie, and you can look up the many times that women have lied about sexual assault, just like they've lied about, domestic violence or all the other times. Women can be kind of sometimes be vindictive if they really, really want to. But, I feel like ultimately this isn't going to help men at all. It's just going to help women for the fact that, let's face it, how many guys are going to be like, well, she raped me? I mean, really, how many guys are going to say, she raped me? Because, especially if you're both, I mean, the only reason why you wouldn't give consent is, you know, if you were on, drugs or something like that. But if you're both, totally drunk and you do it, you have sex, and how many guys are going to be like, even if they're drunk, she raped me. I mean, I think most guys would probably not do that. I think in general, it's there's a number of reasons why, but I don't think men, you know, at least a pretty good amount of men out there, especially college age, probably wouldn't feel like this negative sense if they got drunk and a woman, flung herself on them. I just don't feel like they'd feel that's a bad thing or feel exploited. Unless she got pregnant and then, said he had to pay money for it. Anyways, but also there has to be this thing, ongoing consent. That's one thing I missed talking about a little bit earlier. Ongoing consent. What does that mean? Well, apparently it doesn't really say what it is. Let's take a look. I'm looking at it right now. All right. Affirmative consent must be ongoing throughout a sexual activity and can be revoked at any time. So I can only assume that they don't even give examples as what that means. But as far as I can infer, while you're having sex, while you're doing it, totally going at, every now and then you have to just stop. Wait, are you sure you want to go further? Because we can stop. Oh, okay. Okay, you sure? You're sure? Okay. Where are they going after next? Little forms you gotta fill out? Yes, I do. I affirm I have sex with them. Who? Thrust number 37. Yes, I want to have sex with them. Thrust number 38. Yes, I want to have sex. Yes, I want to have sex with her. Thrust 39. Or whatever. What the heck? You know, and what's worse is that Assemblywoman Bonnie Lowenthal said that when she was asked how an innocent student can demonstrate he or she received affirmative consent, she was the co-author. She said, "Your guess is as good as mine." So this is just a giant waste of time because ultimately it'll come down to the fact of he said, she said. Especially if two people disappear during a party or something and they go at it. Because you're going to have the guy saying, if the woman's making the allegation against a guy, the guy's going to be like, whoa, look, she was totally into it when we were doing it. And if it's a girl to the guy, or sorry, if it's a guy blaming the girl, then she'll just say, well, he was okay with it the entire time. So it's just going to turn into this giant, well, he says she raped him, or she says he raped him, and then they say they gave their permission. So what do they want us to do? Fill out a form? Fill out a form that says, yes, I do accept and acknowledge for so and so on and so on and so on. Maybe we could get some of the lawyers we've got in Washington, to all of those ones writing those really stupid laws that have, like this one. Maybe we could get some of them to make some forms that we can try distributing to these college campuses, and so that people will be able to consent to having sex on paper, and just get past the entire rape thing. But never mind how this causes a bunch of issues, because it's such a giant gray area. Because who are people going to believe? You know, who? We don't know. We don't know. And now let's imagine if this was transitioned over the entire country. Because let's face it, everything that happens in California eventually tries to make it everywhere else. And whatever happens at school tries to happen at home. How would you like it if you're having sex with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, um, but you can't unless you receive written consent? Or your husband or wife, you gotta receive consent. It's absolutely beyond stupid. I don't even know why that people decided that this was something needed, because it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't. It just adds a bunch of red tape to something, you know, because we've gotten nowhere. Because it all it really does is just say, well, if you don't say yes, then sex is rape. But who has to say yes? Do both people have to say yes? Well, if both people have to say yes, what if someone says no and they do it anyways? What if one person says no, then they say yes, then they say no, then they say yes? When do you accept that? And so once again, I'm going to say this. California has taken the gold medal yesterday for being a nanny state. Valued listeners and people of all ages, I submit that perhaps the issue is not so much the fact that we need people to give consent continually, or we need to make people prove their innocence before we accept it. Maybe the problem comes down to that we're just not making smart, intelligent choices. That things like this, I mean, rape is already illegal, and all this does is expand it even further. So, how does this help anyone? How does this help someone who's actually raped? All it does is muddy the waters with a bunch of nonsensical claims, as far as I can tell, because I bet you half of them are going to be both people were drunk. And so it doesn't help anyone. I mean, it might help a few people who didn't want to say yes, but ultimately it should just be, if the person's incapacitated or they're, not of sound judgment, sure. But the problem is I'm fine with that. If the person's drunk and they don't know what's going on, because yes, people get like that, then yeah, okay, that makes sense. But ongoing consent and, you know, how can you prove that you got affirmative consent? Your guess is as good as mine. That's the person who co-authored the law. She doesn't even know what's going on with it. Well, I don't know. I just write the laws. I don't know how you're going to put it into practice. It's not my job. Why do we elect these people? These people who want to run our lives, who make these rules, but they have no idea about how they are going to enforce them or do anything. And that's the problem. There's just too many gray areas in this law. This is not a success for women. It's not a day of triumph for men. It's not a day of triumph for anyone. It's a sad day for all of California and all of the college students in California who just want to do whatever they have and not hurt other people. Anyways, that's all for today. I, of course, am Oath Alliance. This is OathCast News. We'll see you again. Until that time, you have a great day.